Most service owners think that they need to charge immediately, but Alex Hormozi's $100 million leads model proves that giving your first 5 clients a 100% discount is actually the fastest way to grow the social proof you need to scale. Let's get into how he gives away his best content for free and still builds a $100 million business. Welcome to Mastering Business Flow, the essential podcast for business owners ready to transform their work life. I'm your host, Cord Lundau, a certified productivity and systems expert. I'll help you close that critical CEO gap, the gap between working hard and having real control over your business. We dive into the systems and skills of high-performing CEOs so that you can stop being stuck in daily tasks and start flourishing today. It's time to achieve simpler, higher quality living. Let's start flowing. If you don't know Alex Hormozi, he is everywhere on social media. You hear his name a lot. I believe he probably has a podcast as well, but he's constantly talking about how you can grow your business to scale. And he has a book called $100 Million Leads, which he pushes you should give away your best content for free. There's a lot of debate in the business community, but I'm going to focus on why he pushes this and why he thinks that could work. First of all, it's his own business model, which I find fascinating. He has everything available, multiple books, $100 million leads, $100 million offer, among others. And everything he has is available for free as books, as courses, and all at acquisition.com. He states that he comes up with everything for free, all the things, and he's grown multiple gems, and he got to the $100 million using these same methods, and now he's making them available. And he makes them available for free because he wants to help other businesses grow to $1 million. And then his company, acquisition.com, invest in your company. And he's very upfront about all this, but basically everything is uploaded, it's free, and he wants you to use that and is pushing that information because he's looking at the long game. And he wants you to do the same too. As you read his book, he teaches you a similar model. How can you give away stuff for free to attract other people? The goal, obviously, is not you're going to make this $100 million overnight. It's going to take time to build this system. And that is what he's trying to do. And you want to do this too by building that solid foundation. We always need to be looking for ways to bring in more people, but this is a good way to start out. And it's not just to start your business, but anytime you have a new offer. And really, most people do say, and I think I've mentioned this in previous episodes, you want to take your one core offer to $1 million before you start branching out to other offers. So this is how his strategy works, that no matter what your new offer is, you come up with something. The idea is you don't know if the market wants it. You've got to test it in some way. So when you first put it out there, you offer it to 5 clients for free. Then once you get those 5, the next 5 you would offer to 80% discount. The next 5 a 60% discount. The next 5 is 40% discount. The next 5 a 20% discount. Then you get up to full price, and maybe if you keep adding them in, maybe you increase the price until you find your kind of sweet spot. Now, why does he use this method, and why does he claim that it works? For one, when you offer something for free, as he says, you aren't an expert yet in it. So it's helping you to build those kind of reps, to learn the system, to practice how you're going to deliver this. And it's a low stakes model, right? Like if someone's already paying you a lot for it, you have a lot more pressure. Their expectations are higher. If they haven't paid anything for it, their expectations are not so high. So you can kind of mess up and it should be okay. However, you still want to give your absolute best service, even if it is free, because these are the people who are going to build your social proof. They're going to give you the testimonials so you can prove to others that it works, and that helps you to get more clients for the same thing. It's also giving you, obviously, the reps. And once these people try it, they're so happy that they got it for free, they're going to refer you to other people. And the other hope is that then they were so happy to work for you or with you for free that they will become paying customers for something else later on. And this is, according to him, a lot faster way to build your network than just cold selling, because you've got that immediate hook. You're offering incredible value to people, and so they're going to want to share it. So it's a good way to build that. Now, I have gone back and forth myself on offering things for free. I've tried it a few times and have not had much success in actually selling free offers. Part of the philosophy is that people need to have some kind of skin in the game. When you give it to them for free, they don't take it as seriously. They may not finish the course as much. So there's some different things you can do with this. First of all, you could just offer it as a low ticket item, although he does not suggest that. And I'll tell you what he says about this. The other thing that you can do, and I think he suggests this as well, I think it's in his materials, that you have them pay up front, but you tell them if they get the result that they wanted, you give them all their money back. So at least they've got some skin in the game, and it makes them stay through to the end, because that is a big issue of getting people to completely put in your system. Now, obviously, if you have materials that are involved, that's another thing, because that's costing you other money. You could just have them pay for the materials. He points out, though, if you are having problems with selling something that's free, it's because you haven't made clear the value of the free product. And it still costs people something, right? It's taking them their time and effort. And that really is the most valuable thing that people have. The benefits, even if it's free, have to be incredibly clear. And so if you are not able to sell it for free, it's probably going to be even harder to sell it with money. So this really helps you to refine your offer and dig into what is it that the customers are looking for, what speaks to their needs and their wants. And that's what you've got to focus on. And it shows you that you need to work on that offer. As Alex Hormozi points out, it means that if they aren't taking your free offer, it means that whatever you're selling isn't what they want, which can be just the way that you talk about it. I know where I've struggled in that way. Or it could be that they don't think that you can actually help them achieve the goal. So maybe you're promising something, but they don't believe it. So that means you've got to work on that. And he has a whole section that I'm not going to get into that. Or they're worried about those hidden costs, the time it's going to take, or somehow that it's going to be too hard. They're going to have to sacrifice or give up things. And so you want to be really clear about the cost to them and what it's going to take. Now, if you really want to work on how to express those outcomes in terms that they want, I highly suggest you look at Donald Miller's Peace Soundbites, which I have a link to before, and I'll make sure to include a link in the show notes. I recently heard an interview also with another company called The Human Garage. I think that's their name. And they do some kind of physical work with the fascia in your body, and it's supposed to relieve all kinds of stress. And I think their business model is interesting because their goal is more to reach 1 billion people. They so believe in this method and that it helps. And as I said in the last episode, this is really why we go into our businesses ultimately, that we are trying to help people. We know we have some sort of solution that is going to help them, that's going to improve their lives. And to the Human Garage, they thought it was more important their message get out there and the method be out there than them getting money. So they put all of their money into it and did not charge anything for the full first year that they did it. Now the founders, I think it's been 6 years that they've been in business, they still don't take a salary, although they do have paid staff and travel costs. And they have accepted donations and have a model where they just ask people to pay what they can afford. So they get enough to cover their expenses that way, except they don't take a salary. I think, eventually they can do other things to make a salary, but the idea is you get enough people out there, you'll find a way to make money. They're focused on maximizing the exposure. And your business is one of the key points is without that exposure, your whole pipeline is depending on that front end, leads coming in. So this is a way to get that started. You've got to have things coming in for your business to grow. Now, my own journey with business is this is something that appeals to me, this offering value for free, because for many years I avoided the business world. I come from a family of small business owners. I mean, my great-grandfather started a business, my grandfather went in, my father, all my cousins, aunts, uncles, almost everybody in my family has a business on their own. But for some reason, when I was working at a summer job in college, I worked at AT&T for a summer, and I felt just the corporate greed that everybody was after themselves. They were just, selfish and battling things out and conniving behind the background. Maybe it was just the place I was, but that tainted me for business. And I really wanted to make the world a better place. So I went into teaching. However, what I found with teaching was that especially when I was with teenagers, not so much when I taught adults because I split my career half and half. When I was working with the they didn't really want to be there, right? They were kind of forced to be there. They didn't want to learn what I had to teach them. And what I really wanted to teach them, what I thought was more important than anything that they could learn about history, was learning these kind of soft skills, right? These are the skills for success in life afterwards. And I really tried to put that into everything I did. Goal setting, time management, emotional intelligence, all of these kinds of things I tried to build in. But the students thought it was a waste of time. They didn't see the need for it. The adults, they like doing that kind of stuff. So that's why I switched over to working with business owners, because I realized that business owners are really keyed into wanting to learn skills for improvement. Many times in corporate settings, they are just going along the path. They're following whatever the given is, and they're just going to accept whatever is there. But business owners want something different. They want something better. And that's why I can offer them skills. How do we improve? How do we become more productive? How do we have better lives? And so that's why I went in to teach with business owners. And so it is a point of serving, but how do I make money from it as well? When you're giving enough, that's the idea, is that it will come back to you. And the first place I really came across this was the book Go Giver, which many of you may have read or heard of. And it is kind of like a myth story of how someone goes into business and becomes very successful, not by focusing on what other people can give them, but by focusing on what they can give other people. So that's what I try to do with my own business. And this is how I can kind of justify being a business owner, because now I see it as giving to people. And Alex Hormozi's model, and also the human garbage, whatever they're called, both of those really speak to me, because that is that service model, giving out. And to me, that is a path that I can really feel good about as a business owner, that I'm really serving people, but I can see how it serves in the end to grow my own business, because I can't stay in business unless I am able to generate that income. So how do I use this now in my business? Well, one of the ways is just by doing this podcast. I'm only on episode 11 right now, and I have ramped this up to trying to do 3 times a week so I can produce more of these. I told you I come from a teaching background, and this is a way of my teaching. It's giving my content for free. I'm giving my ideas, the research, things that I'm learning, talking about things that are going to help business owners find their flow, find ways to make their life easier. And by creating this content, I'm hoping to provide value and improve other business owners' lives, helping them to improve the skills they need to run their business. On the other hand, it also hopefully attracts business owners who want to do those things and want to work with me. As they hear my voice, they listen to my personality, they find out if I'm a person that they even like, right? This whole know, like, and trust gets developed through the podcast. So I'm both providing the content and I'm creating a way for people to get to know me and see what it's like to work with me. So this idea of giving the free content, not only it's really important for that lead generation, as Alex Hormozi talks about, that people hear, and when they hear my voice on a podcast, there's something about hearing the tone of people's voice, especially in this age of AI, when you don't know what's real, what's not. I mean, I guess it's getting to the point where you could generate the voice as well with AI, but you hear that the voice, it goes into your brain a different way than just read it. You get on kind of an emotional sync with them. And this is a way I get away from the fears I used to have of business, of being corporate greed, is now I'm providing value. You're connecting with me as a person, and I feel like I'm helping you, which is what I want to do. I'm also showing you what it is that I can offer you, the types of lessons that I have learned that I know can help you. Now, I do wonder, with a podcast, just creating tons of content, am I creating enough that's useful? Am I just rambling or talking about myself? Because I've heard some podcasts where they do that. And if I'm trying to produce 3 a week, it's a lot harder to do all the prep work that I used to do to get my podcast ready, or my blog. I used to do as a blog, and I would, each one take me 10 plus hours a week, and the research, the editing, and then the publishing was a little bit slower. And with the podcast, it's essentially the same process, but then I've got to actually record it as well. And that's just impossible for me to do 3 of those a week. I have to let go some of the research and maybe just let more of my personality show, because that's part of the goal of the podcast as well. But then do I ramble too much if I don't prepare everything ahead of time? I hear some podcasts that do that. Maybe I'm rambling right now. But at least then that's part of my personality when I ramble, and you know who I am. The advantage of the podcast, besides the voice, is I can actually generate even more content. It can be video, which I can then split up into shorts to use on social media. And video is one of it's the fastest growing medium these days. It also is providing me that library, especially by doing it 3 times a week, that now I've got. If I was only doing it once a week, it would take me 10 weeks to get to 10 episodes. But doing 3 times a week, you can get to that in just over 3 weeks. So there's a huge difference. And every time I'm producing it, hopefully I'm getting better and finding the information that resonates more and what to drill into. I then can take what I've recorded, take the transcript, and I can use that as my blog. So it depends. And this, Alex Hormozi talks about this as well, that you want to make things as easy as possible for people to consume. So I've got the short form video for people who just want something short and quick. I've got the longer videos. So you can watch it on YouTube, or you can listen to it on another podcast. Or if you want to read it, you can go to my blog. So that way it's available in multiple forms of content. And I did this with teaching too. They called it a universal design for learning. You have to provide things in different formats for what is going to be easier for the other person. So this is the same kind of thing I did with teaching. And so this is what I'm doing with the podcast, that free content, lots of it out there, every different method for the different people. Now, if you are a service owner and you're trying to figure out how to get more leads, obviously, this free content is what I'm talking about today, how to get that free content. But you want to be thinking strategically about this before you do it. Don't just immediately start giving away everything for free. Now, Alex Hormozi does say give your best stuff for free, but if you're giving absolutely everything away for free, you won't have any income and you will just exhaust yourself just doing free stuff. You want to think out strategically, map out that customer journey. Where is it what is the core offer you want to sell? What type of customer do you want to sell to? But for every podcast episode, I'm going through and thinking of these things. When I'm offering something for free, it's just that core value, that core offer, and it's only 5 times, right? Well, the podcasts are all free and I will continue to offer those, but they're different, so these are 2 different approaches, right? Just the content you're producing plus the free offer that you can do. But the idea is you need something out there for free so that people can get to know you, and it increases your visibility by having that. But you want to be strategic about it. You want to know what kind of content, is going to lead to the kind of lead that you want. The other thing is, even if you have that strategic, okay, this is exactly my ideal customer, these are the products that I'm offering, so this is the logical step, this is the kind of content I need to produce, or the kind of free offers I need out there. You still need a system on the back end to manage that, because this could increase your volume significantly. So you need to have a system, that pathway marked out. What is the workflow from the first time that people hear your name until you finish working with them? You want to map out that whole process. And this is something that I work with clients with. And many owners get stuck in this kind of bottleneck because they're afraid to scale and they don't have that system in place. Either they don't have the system to attract the leads, or they're stopped by the number of leads they can take in because they don't have the system to process them. Maybe they're sitting on proposals and not getting them to the next stage. You need to have a very clear workflow that's smooth and as much automatic as you can. And that's not dependent on any individual. If one of your employees switches, you want to be able to have that in place. And so to be a true go-giver that's serving others, you need a system, a visible workflow that runs without you being physically there, and that logically leads to your paid offer. Another example is the local car wash company. When they opened up, it was one of the first fully automatic car washes around here. Now there's millions of them. The entire first week was free for anybody. You didn't have to do anything. They didn't take names, anything. Everybody could drive through. They created that kind of desire. And as soon as the free week was over, I joined up and several years later, I think it's been 6 years now, I'm still a member, or 7. And this is what we want to do. We want to set up that kind of system where we are attracting people and keeping them in the system and able to manage them to keep getting that, and this keeps you from the firefighter mode, constantly putting out emergencies, looking for new leads, scared that the system is going to crash. You have it all as a working system. And when you give value, you are building your network and keeping that pipeline filled, always bringing in new leads. Be sure to check out the notes on my site in case you missed anything. And you can sign up for my no-cost business course to focus on one thing each week so you know what to grow in your business. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, do all the things so that others can find this as well. Thank you for listening.